Hello everyone, I'm your host, Vanessa Obura.
And I'm Stacey Wanjeri, your host with the most.
And this is CIO News.
Good morning, Vanessa. How are you doing?
Good morning, Stacey. How are you today?
I'm very, very fine, very excited. The Fintech Summit is finally here. We're only counting a few days. It's next week on Thursday?
Thursday and Friday. Yes. It's a 2-day event because it's hot cake, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And do you remember, Vanessa, last time when we were discussing the different topics that have been getting a buzz from the fintech agenda? One of the discussions is the neobanking, which is very interesting. And we are happy today that we are having the moderator of the session with us, joining us in studio today.
Yes, we're so excited because he's given us a bit of a taste of what to expect next week.
Yes, a bit of salt and pepper of what fintech is all about. Yes, he is the CEO and founder of Kipochi Limited, and he's also the chairman of Association of Fintechs in Kenya. His name is Ali Hussein. Ali Hussein, thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is ours. Welcome. You're part of our family.
Yeah, thank you so much. I do actually consider myself part of CIO. It's almost like I've walked the journey since almost, well, not almost the beginning, but definitely early days. Yeah, so I've seen CIO grow, and I'm super proud of what you guys have achieved up to today.
Thank you so much, Ali. Yes, so we are excited. You're moderating a session. Your panel discussion has had a lot of a buzz. Neobanking, people really want to hear about neobanking and how it's going to be like, especially in Africa. And thank you for accepting to moderate that session. But today we would like you to take us through the evolving fintech landscape. Tell us how that looks in terms of regulation, legislation, and the markets.
So, in fact, I would start with a question that was posed to me a few days ago. Someone was asking me, so what is fintech? And can banks survive without fintechs, and can fintech survive without banks? My answer to that is really that this is an evolution and it's an ecosystem. It started a few years back as fintech being this newfangled thing. You know, everyone is super excited and super interested about what fintech can achieve for organizations and for the customer. Things have evolved since then. Quite a number of banks locally and regionally have started to take fintech very seriously. Some of the fintech startups, especially the Nigerian ones, have raised humongous amounts of money from an African perspective. Flutterwave has raised $170 million at a $1 billion valuation. $1 billion. I mean, I can tell you for free that a very small percentage of banks across the continent actually have a market valuation of $1 billion. Another fintech from Nigeria has been acquired by probably the most interesting fintech in the world, called Stripe. So things are quite evolving. And a few days ago, we woke up to the news that Branch, which is a so-called digital lender, is acquiring a deposit-taking microfinance bank in Kenya. So you can just imagine what is going through people's minds. This is a startup, although a big startup, because Branch has to date raised more than $260 million from investors across the world, from the US, from Europe, from Africa. Branch has also done commercial paper locally, I think a year ago. So the question is, why is Branch, a digital lender, acquiring a deposit-taking microfinance bank? I can start extrapolating where that is going, but I leave that for our conversation next week.
Ali, I was going to ask.
Yes.
About the digital lender part. There's an interesting thing that you brought up. What is the difference between digital banking in Africa and mobile money? What is the difference?
In Africa, there's almost no difference. And let me say this. In Africa, mobile money and digital banking are almost sort of commingled together. Let me start with my home country of Kenya. Today, there is no bank that can say it has a mobile banking strategy without M-Pesa. I will even go further and say that there are certain banks, when you go to their digital banking platforms and you have a drop-down menu for transferring money to one bank and another, that drop-down menu includes M-Pesa. So the question is M-Pesa now a de facto bank? Of course, they will argue that they are not a bank because they don't have a banking license. The question is then goes back to the saying, to the statement by Bill Gates a few years back, where he rhetorically said, banking is necessary, but banks may not be necessary. So we are at a point where banking is evolving, and we are going to start asking ourselves some very, very tough questions in terms of the traditional way that we understand banking. Should it encompass us start talking about the bigger picture where it comes to financial services? I was having an interesting discussion the other day with my friend Joseph Igidaiga of PwC, and he was discussing the traditional way, the way bankers and the way regulators define banking. But today, 2021, my question is, should we relook at defined banking is? I know this may be a bit of a controversial conversation, but we must have that conversation.
Yes, we do. It's inevitable. I must say that it's inevitable. Yeah. Now, Ali, you chair the Association of Fintechs in Kenya. Just tell us a little bit about the association, what it does, and just you being in the everyday and knowing what the association does. Guide us a little bit on that.
So first, the association's key objective is about adopting digital innovation in the financial services sector. Our core strategy is about efficiency, scalability, and competitive positioning of the sector. And of course, we are focusing on fintech, but we are not saying that it's open to just fintech startups. So we will discuss a little bit more about that when I'm with my colleagues next week. But to just give you a bit of overview, it was founded in this year, 2021, early this year. And we are really about ensuring that the sector grows. We are about engaging with the different stakeholders across the spectrum, partners like FSD, regulators like the Central Bank of Kenya, Communications Authority, Capital Markets Authority. We really want to have a super comprehensive and productive engagement with all stakeholders. Our members are currently about 65 members, and we hope to grow that. Kenya, we are late in the game in terms of founding an association, but as we say, better late than never. Our members encompass players who are involved in payment gateways, alternative credit scoring, lending, wallets, transaction delivery, asset management, digital banking infrastructure, digital insurance, insurtechs, e-commerce firms. So we are really looking forward to engaging the whole financial services ecosystem to ensure that we have a vibrant fintech ecosystem in the country. We are also part of the larger Africa Fintech Network, which is a network that brings together national fintech associations across Africa. So we're taking this conversation very seriously. And I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about my favorite topic around if you don't have a seat at the table, then you are probably on the menu. So this is us walking in and not demanding, but requesting a seat at the table so that we can have positive conversations around the space that we are working in. Lots of startups that are in Kenya, more are coming up. To give you an example of how important this sector is from investment perspective, we have last year alone more than 60% of all investment into startups went into fintechs, and that 60% is 60% of $305 million. That's 2020. And that's during a pandemic year. 2019 was about $365 million. And we are going to continue to see this growth. What we want to say is that we want to ensure that Kenyans have a healthy piece of that cake. We also want to ensure that we have the right policies and the right regulatory frameworks that enhance the ecosystem. What is important is to actually invite all stakeholders. We want to engage, and we want to engage in a very positive manner. We must always think of this country first, and this country's future is in the youth, and the youth are super involved in the tech ecosystem. So how do we empower them? How do we ensure that we are creating the right playing field to grow this ecosystem?
I agree that the Association of Fintechs is very key to have, especially in East Africa and specifically Kenya. It has grown tremendously, and that's not about to change anytime soon because there's a hunger and there's a gap, and you guys are filling that gap alongside different partnerships that you close. Thank you, Ali, for joining us.
That hunger,
yes.
you mentioned that hunger. We don't want to see people eating from outside. We want to be at that table so that we can allay our
I agree, Ali.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
for having us, and see you on the 20th and 21st, the summit.
Guys, much appreciated.
Thank you so much, Ali. And thank you so much for joining us, our audience. And this is CIO News. And if you haven't registered, please do so on www.cio.co.ke.
See you on the 20th.